Let me ask you, has anyone ever put you down? Has anyone ever made fun of you, told you what you couldn't be, what you wouldn't do, that you're not smart enough, that you can't do it? You need to hear this next guest, because he has achieved a level of success, in my mind, that's off the charts. He was a deputy director and director at the state of Ohio. Then not just that, also holding an executive position in the state of Florida today. You need to hear this. Don't go anywhere, because by listening to this story, I can assure you, and if you take from it what he's talking about, it can propel you to the next level. Stay tuned. Hi, this is Robert Wilkins, aka Basketball Tall. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad that you're with me here today because you're in for a treat. And when I say treat, I mean treat deluxe. I have a superstar that in the state of Florida that you definitely need to hear from. His name is Raymond Roe. But before I go there, let me tell you what my channel is about. My channel is about giving you hope, giving you encouragement, interviewing those superstars that's in our communities all across this nation that can bring you valuable nuggets that may be to help you on this journey of life. So that's what I bring to you today is Raymond Roe. And by the way, also, if you like what I'm presenting on this channel, please hit the subscribe button or like button and go with us on this journey, because I can assure you what you're going to gain here today and for those in the future is going to benefit somebody. And also, just to make certain to tell you, last week I talked about my journey as a police officer. And I'm going to bring to you some series as far as personal stories as a law enforcement officer. And I want you to put yourself in my shoes and think about what would you do? So with furthermore, nothing else to say, let me bring in Raymond Roe. Raymond, how are you today?
I'm good, Robert. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Now, let me tell everybody is that I know him from back in high school, Wasserman High School in Monroe, Louisiana, and he was a basketball player and he played football. And I also want you guys to know he is basketball tall, seriously. He's 6'5". And you can tell he is a big man, and he played on that Wildcat, superb football team. But Raymond, I tell you what, I was looking at your bio here, and wow, you've done some tremendous things. We're talking about you studied biology at Oakwood University. You also studied soil microbiology at Alabama A&M University, and you are former executive director at the state of Ohio, and right now you're involved with the Department of Health in the state of Florida. Now, I do have some questions here, but before we get into your resume part, tell me, when you graduated out of high school, did you have any inclination whatsoever what you wanted to do with your life?
That's a good question. Only thing I could think of, I wanted to get a college education because my daddy always been pushing education in our family. So all I could see was getting an education. And then I had this idea I wanted to be a doctor. So that's why I majored in biology. So even though, about my last year in college, I decided, being a doctor is not for me. So I decided to switch and get my master's in soil science. And that's pretty much led me on the path that I'm on now. But I had no clue when I was in high school that what was going to happen after I got that college degree.
But you knew you had some dreams, some goals, some things you wanted to do in your life. Matter of fact, you were really dreaming big, talking about wanting to be a doctor. Still, has anyone in your family ever was a medical professional, especially a doctor, a medical doctor?
Not a doctor, but my mom was a nurse. And she was kind of the one that we all looked to for that because she was the first person that actually got a college degree. and at least she got the training in nursing, and that pushed everybody else in the family to go to college. And I knew that in order to become a doctor or to be successful, I had to get that college degree. And that's what we did. We all worked towards getting our college degrees. And actually, I think all my brothers and sisters went to college or graduated. And so we all were pushed to get that education.
Talking about having that positive example in a mother who was
That's
herself already a professional. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Now, let me ask you this. I know you talked about your mother, so she encouraged you and gave you guys the belief because you had an example. But was there any other folks on this journey that also inspired you?
Well, my stepfather actually was also somebody who pushed education in our family. And so much so that when I would come home in the evening, he would have us actually read to him what we were supposed to be doing for homework. And it wasn't until years after we started reading to him that we found out that he could not read.
Wow.
And he was somebody who just continually, wanted us to get your education, go to school, make good grades. And but he was somebody who dropped out of school in the third grade because he had to support his family. And he was always that inspiration for all of us to keep going. So I was pretty much the first of my siblings actually to get a college education, and then went on to get a master's after that. But he was the inspiration, and also my mom was an example of what an education could do.
For all of you that's listening to this right now, education is vital. It's not necessarily key in everything, but it's definitely a key to success. You do not have to be a failure in life wherever you are, because the thing is, it's going to take some dedication on your part. And the thing is, you have to study. You must do your work. You got to go to class. And these are just little basic things that we all had to do in order to reach whatever level of success that we achieved. Now, let me ask you this. You had to have had some doubters along the way. Some people, sometimes when we're young, people make fun of you, put you down, talk about what you can't do and all of that. Did you ever experience any of that? Because that defeats some people.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned earlier that I majored in biology, but I also minored in chemistry. And one of the things that I don't want to put any names out there, but I had somebody who actually tried to discourage me from taking chemistry. And this was a chemistry teacher when I was in high school, and said, "You would never pass chemistry." And I felt like, anytime you tell me I can't do something, that's going to make me want to do it even more. And so every time I've faced anything in life, I think I fall back on that, because anytime I've got a difficulty and it feels as if I can't make it, I have to fall back on the fact that, well, you can do this, you can make it. And so I had a biology and a chemistry, almost a major in both, and did well in both. So, but it was that lingering thing in the back of my mind that I kept hearing, you can't do chemistry, you can't do science. Well, people that look like us constantly are told you can't do it.
Right.
But if you have a good family support system that says and tells you you can do it, and especially you can do this through God who helps you to get through it,
yes,
then you can make it. And I tell anybody who will listen to me now, whatever you set your mind to do, you can do it. I tell my daughter that all the time. Whatever it is that you want to do, if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
You
And by the
know,
grace of God, he allows us to do it.
really, there was a quote by Albert Einstein, and he said something like, the mind is like a muscle. It has a real function. And also, you said something that caused me to think back when I interviewed Wendell Woods. And he said, someone said to him, you can't be a lawyer. And then he said, I want to be a lawyer. you know, so you
Yeah.
used it as fuel, as motivation that you were going to do it. Plus, you had all that great support around you, and the your illiteracy of your dad, as far as educational reading is concerned. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and he encouraged you guys. Pushed you on. He gave. He was one of the biggest cheerleaders. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you've also achieved some tremendous things, even more so. Now, I worked with the state agency, and I was fortunate that I got the opportunity to supervise at least 5 counties in which, the state agency that I work for. But you went way beyond that. You were a deputy director for the Environmental Protection Agency in the state of Florida. Is that correct?
In the state of Ohio.
Oh, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Yeah.
In the state of Ohio, please explain that.
Well, when I moved to Ohio, I started out as an environmental specialist one, and I worked my way up through the ranks and became the bureau chief for the state fire marshal's office. And I was in charge of the Bureau of Underground Storage Tank regulations for the state. And I did that for about 9 years. And then an opportunity came up to work for the Ohio EPA and working for the Hazardous Waste Facility Board. So I got hired as a deputy director / executive director of the Hazardous Waste Facility Board.
Wow. Wow. Hold on. You're knocking my socks off now. I mean, you're killing it. And we're talking about the Environmental Protection Agency is a federal agency, isn't it?
Well, in Ohio, it's the state version of the federal. Every state has an agency that's similar to that. It may be called the Department of Environmental Protection. It may be called the Department of Environmental Quality or Environmental Services, but every state has it. But Ohio is a very large agency, and it has satellite offices around the state that takes care of the environmental needs of the state. But my office was actually located in Columbus, in the state capital.
Wow. Wow. For those of you that are listening to this right now, I knew this guy when he was in high school, and to hear his achievements is is unbelievable for me. And I'm pretty sure many others from, that knows you, but not knowing what your career has been is just going to be just shocked, but excited at the same time. Because we're always happy to see someone do well in life. And if you find people out there that are telling you the opposite, you don't need those people in your life. You want to be around somebody that's going to encourage you and give you that motivation to make you feel that you can. And this guy, wow, you're talking about, and by the way, I worked at the Environmental Protection Agency, we called the Kerr Lab in Ada, Oklahoma, when I was in college as a janitor, part-time job.
Wow. Okay.
But I tell you, now you're doing some even greater big things in the state of Florida where you currently reside. Why don't you tell everybody about that as well?
Yeah, currently I'm the environmental health director for the Florida Department of Health in Seminole County. Seminole County actually has its county seat as Sanford, Florida. And what I do is actually I manage about 18 different programs. And that involves drinking water wells. It involves rabies prevention. It involves biomedical waste. We do septic tanks, or at least we do the inspection of septic tanks. And we also do a number of other community projects. We try to, we do just about everything that involves life itself. A lot of it, some of it, nobody wants to think about, especially when it comes to septic tanks. But we also deal with the drinking water wells and, making sure they're tested and knowing that you're drinking safe water. So I have a staff of about 12 people. We're a rather small county, but before I moved into Seminole County, which I've only been there for about maybe a year and a half, I was environmental manager in Orange County, which is where Orlando is, where everybody knows it more as Mickey's house.
Yes.
So, but I was actually environmental manager there, overseeing the facilities programs. So the opportunity came up to become the health director in Seminole County. So I took that opportunity about a year and a half ago.
Wow. Wow. Raymond, I'll tell you, you're killing me here. You know, because you are a perfect example as to the theme of my channel, because there are so many people around this country that if they just listen to what you're saying, especially early on when you talked about the naysayers and those encouraged you and so forth, people can't help but succeed if they make that commitment to do so.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, as we're getting ready to close here, if there's anything else on your mind, on your heart, what you want to say to your community, your state, and even the country, I'll give you the final word.
You know, I think that the saying goes that to whom much is given, much is required. And for those of us who have, and I feel like I'm toward the end of my career right about now, because I have about 5 more years before I retire. But I want to be able to give back, and to give back to people as much as I've been given. I had a lot of people pour into my life over the years, and some were family members, some were educators. For us, it was Grady Jones in our high school, who was a principal. He was also my 5th grade teacher at Minnie Ruffin in Monroe, Louisiana. And he was somebody who always watched what I did, and somebody who always wanted to encourage, even helped me with my first job. He was somebody who constantly monitored me, because I got a chance to work for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers while I was during my summers away from college. And he was instrumental in helping me get my foot in the door with that. And even had a principal at Minnie Ruffin, Red Sims, who was extremely interested in everything I did. So these were my white men. And in Louisiana, that's not always something that you receive, because we're usually not always on the same page, to be kind about it. But for all the people that poured into my life, I'd like to be able to also pour into other people's lives, and not just family, but people who need encouragement, and people who need to have just some affirmation that what you're doing, you can do it. Yeah. And you don't want to just always think you got to do things on your own, because if you don't have that the village behind you, it makes it very difficult to do all of it on your own.
Yes.
And no man is an island, and you've got to have some support from somewhere in order to be able to make it, because God can do everything for us, but he also needs some earthly angels in order to help us along.
Yes.
And I feel good about the fact that I've had those earthly angels pouring into my life over the years, and I appreciate everything they've done, even though most of them are gone on now. But I appreciate everything they've done.
Wow. Wow. And, I appreciate those as well. Mr. Jones, great, great principal at Wasserman. I loved him as well.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I think the whole student body did. He was just that kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to thank you today, Raymond, for taking the time out to share your journey and to also give words of encouragement and hope for others. And the main thing that you said, the center of it all, is God.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you. And for my audience, for those of you that like what you just heard here, I encourage you, please subscribe to this channel and follow me on this journey, because it's a journey of hope and giving those encouragement. And no matter where you are in life, to let you know that you can do it too. And Raymond, I thank you, and may God continue to bless you as he already has already. Thank you.
Thank you too.